right now at 7.
Multiple people shot in busy downtown Seattle tonight. The gunman is on the run. Plus,
the coronavirus death toll is now up to 17, more than 500 infected cases worldwide as the Chinese government moves to take some extreme and rapid measures to try and contain this disease.
And just a day after San Francisco police touted a drop in homicides, the city is facing a sharp rise from a different killer.
And Governor Gavin Newsom reaching out to the feds tonight for help with California's homeless crisis. Right now on KPIX-5 and streaming on CBSN Bay Area, breaking news out of Seattle, where the search is on for the gunman who shot at least 8 people. Good evening, I'm Elizabeth Cook.
And I'm Ken Bastida. We've learned at least one victim has died after gunfire erupted in a busy downtown area just before 5 this evening. 7 patients are being treated at a nearby hospital. Reporter Michael Spears is at the scene.
When we heard this and ran down here, and then we saw this massive scene. Now, Seattle police in the last 5 to 10 minutes tweeted out that they were investigating a shooting, and they said it happened around the 4th and Pine area, so that's a block from here. When we look down that way, we can see multiple medics and officers in that area now, so there could be even more victims than the 4 people that we've seen ourselves. We're told by police that the shooter did run away. We're told it is a man, a male apparently. That person has not been caught, and it makes sense because when we talked to investigators when we first got here, we heard them telling folks that they needed to move out. It was unsafe. So right now we are being pushed back. You can see officers have guns out. As you can understand, a very tense situation, active scene here in downtown.
Well, I'll take you to the scene right now. It's a live look at what's going on. Police still have the area blocked off as they investigate exactly what happened. And of course, we will continue to monitor the situation there in Seattle and bring you any updates this evening as they come into the newsroom.
Our other top story tonight, dramatic new numbers in the opioid crisis. KPIX-5's Andrea Borba is in San Francisco, where overdose deaths nearly doubled last year. Andrea?
Well, Elizabeth, there has been anecdotal evidence for quite some time that the opioid crisis between oxy, heroin, and fentanyl was growing here on the streets of San Francisco. Now there is data to back that up.
I'm actually talking to people mid-injection, right? The amount of overdoses is tremendous.
William Buellman is the outreach coordinator at Glide. He's been working with those on the streets for nearly 20 years. He says fentanyl in particular is much more potent, requiring more Narcan to reverse the effects than ever.
I routinely talk to people who have 40, 50 saves under their belt that I'm doing Narcan refills with on the street.
The grim reality is that 2019 was the deadliest year for fentanyl and heroin overdoses, according to the medical examiner. 290 deaths, as first reported in the Chronicle.
A lot of even the tar heroin is cut with fentanyl at the upper levels now because the cartels are doing that to compete.
The Drug Enforcement Administration backs up this claim. Sales of the drug can translate into substantial profits for cartels. It also means the black market of counterfeit pills has been flooded with an extremely deadly substance in which the lethal margin of error for those who use drugs is minutely small. District 6 Supervisor Matt Haney declared a public health emergency and says much more from enforcement to treatment needs to be done.
It's my belief that we need to actually have regular reporting and responses when people are dying of overdoses. When somebody dies of a homicide or a traffic crash, the city responds and the city acknowledges it. And too often folks are dying in silence. These are people who have families and friends and loved ones and lives that have been needlessly cut short.
Now, supervisors and street-level outreach advocates would also like to see many more people around the Bay Area trained in the use of naloxone and its more common name, Narcan. Live in San Francisco tonight, Andrea Borba, KPIX-5.
Governor Newsom wants land from the federal government to help tackle the state's homeless problem. And he wrote to Housing and Urban Development Secretary Ben Carson about turning over surplus federal land where homes could be built. The governor says, quote, "I hope that you will match our commitment to comprehensive solutions that go beyond temporary tent villages." Newsom has already started a similar program involving state-owned land.
The area below a bridge on Berkeley's University Avenue could be the site of an emergency homeless shelter after the city council voted last night to build one. The plan would be to put up to 120 tents and have portable toilets, hand washing, and shower stations. The shelter would be a temporary fix to help ease the city's homeless crisis. The plan still needs to come back to the council for a public hearing and vote. New details tonight on a police shooting in Livermore that started as a routine sobriety test. Livermore police say 38-year-old Matthew Kelly drove toward two officers who had just pulled over a DUI suspect. It happened at around 3:30 this morning near Kitty Hawk Road and Airway Boulevard. Police say when Kelly accelerated toward them, they fired, hitting him in the thigh. Kelly has been charged with 3 counts of assault with a deadly weapon.
Also tonight, the death toll from the coronavirus outbreak in China has climbed to 17 people. At least 500 others are sick. Chinese state media says the city of Wuhan is shutting down outbound flights and public transit to try to contain the spread. Meanwhile, SFO is one of 5 U.S. airports screening passengers from Wuhan, China. The next flight is due in tomorrow, but KPIX-5's Kit Doe tells us there's some doubt tonight about whether it will even take off.
So here at SFO, they get about 500 passengers a week arriving from Wuhan. According to FlightAware, it does not look like that flight that's supposed to be boarding in just a couple of hours has received a gate assignment yet. So all signs point to the government cracking down on travel from Wuhan. The normally vibrant wildlife and seafood market in Wuhan, where the outbreak began, is now eerily quiet, cordoned off by police tape. Before the shutdown of all public transportation, face masks were a common sight on the train. Authorities scanned the temperatures of all outbound passengers, trying to detect anyone who might have a fever as they left the city.
And the indications are that this could go on for a bit longer.
At Metabiota, a startup based in San Francisco, CEO Nita Madoff says the company tracks epidemics around the globe using dozens of sources.
We do feel optimistic that that can be contained, but kind of the question is how big will it get before that happens?
I think we're much better prepared than we were in 2002.
Dr. Charles Chu at UCSF is one of the world's leading authorities on infectious diseases and says China very likely used genetic sequence tests similar to this device to identify the strain of coronavirus in days or even hours, not weeks. Chu says the lessons learned from the SARS outbreak of 2002 that killed more than 700 people are being applied today to great effect.
The public health emergency infrastructure for public health surveillance is far more organized now. We have new technologies, such as sequencing that can enable us to rapidly identify the virus, develop diagnostic tests, and ultimately that will also help in the development of vaccines or drugs.
Kit Doe, KPIX-5.
Still ahead on KPIX-5 and CBSN Bay Area, the Trump administration mulling new visa restrictions tonight.
And not just on countries, on women as well.
Plus, Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos hacked. Tonight, the UN wants to know, was Saudi Arabia behind it?
And an iconic franchise ready for the biggest stage.
Yep, no going back now. Tonight, Raider Nation has officially relocated.
And talk about a hot property. This Fremont firehouse can be yours for $1, but there's a catch.
And that's the only hot thing for the next few days, as things will be cooling off in advance of a storm system that'll work its way toward the Bay Area by the weekend as we look at the city of San Francisco. Isn't that beautiful? Looks like a chandelier upturned. We'll have the forecast coming up when we come back.
In a city that shines brighter than most. And an iconic franchise ready for the biggest stage. It all happens here.
There tonight, Raider Nation is officially relocated to Las Vegas. The team released a new promotional video on Twitter this afternoon. The video also shows the new Allegiant Stadium, which is still under construction. All right, how about this? A building for $1.
That is the going rate for it is negotiable though, for an old firehouse in Fremont, but there's a catch, as there always is. The dollar only buys the building, not the land underneath it. So if you buy this building, you have to pick it up and move it somewhere else. And that could cost The estimates say up to $500,000. The block it sits on is going to be redeveloped with housing, retail, restaurants, you name it. But the developers wanted to give the firehouse a fighting chance.
I think it's great if they can save it. They're going to have to move it, I would imagine, because with the redevelopment, all of this is going to come down.
So are you going to buy it?
No.
What else are you going to do with that dollar?
I could buy 4 Airheads.
What's that?
Candy.
Probably a better investment.
Might be. Might be.
Yeah.
Instant gratification.
Who's going to pick up that old block building?
You know, if it was a turn-of-the-century Victorian firehouse with a pole, I mean, it's 50s era, you know, stucco and
it served its time.
Maybe somebody loves that. Maybe somebody.
Not that that's a bad thing.
They love it that much.
Well,
they want to live in it.
Back up a truck to it, off it goes. Yeah. We've got a chance of a few little sprinkles in the Bay Area tomorrow, but you have to be in the right place at the right time. The details upcoming, but first, let's give you the broad view with low pressure that's up off the Pacific Northwest. They're getting slammed with rain up there, but for us, we're on the southern edge of all of these systems for the next few days. None of them really sink close to the Bay Area until we get into the late Saturday, Sunday, and Monday morning time frame. In the meantime, the high pressure down here is going to be strong enough to hold all of this off, and so in the meantime, this flow just continues to push onto the West Coast and into the Rockies. So we're going to be looking for things to stay dry for the most part through Sunday, with one exception. That's in the North Bay tomorrow. We'll tell you about that in a minute. First, there's the city of San Francisco from Sutro Tower, and the highs today, 63. Was a popular number. I hope we forecast that. As we look out toward the Golden Gate Bridge, right now the numbers are in the 50s. A little bit of fog will be forming before sunrise, so we'll deal with that during the early morning commute. Sun up at 7:20 a.m. on Thursday, and then in the afternoon, it's going to be cloudy. We're not going to get nearly as much sunshine tomorrow as we had today, as we do get ragged clouds moving over the top of the high. Futurecast shows that tomorrow morning you'll see this big splotch of green moving in to Sonoma County, but that's midday-ish, and it doesn't amount to much. It's all well north of the Golden Gate Bridge, and then it just gets swept up and out. We'll have a cloudy day until right around sunset. We might get a beautiful sunset tomorrow night with the cloud shield passing overhead, but in general, after the fog forms tonight, we get a mostly cloudy day tomorrow. Few North Bay sprinkles, not much. The big rain and wind, and it's not that big, is going to be moving in on Sunday morning. For the forecast, if you're heading out of SFO, it'll be cloudy, and it'll be snowing in Chicago and 35 degrees. New York at 46. Overnight lows tonight uniformly in the 40s. Sun up tomorrow, 7:20. Daytime highs still going to be warmer than they usually are. The latter part of January. Down in the South Bay, it'll be overcast, and 60 in Santa Clara, 62 in San Jose. No rain in the East Bay, but numbers will top out in the upper 50s and low 60s. Walnut Creek at 60. Up in the North Bay, we'll see Petaluma at 60 degrees. Santa Rosa could get some sprinkles tomorrow, and a high of 60, and 60 will just about do it. Ukiah is a better bet for some rain midday tomorrow. The extended forecast, clouds for Thursday, and then we'll dry it up till we get till Sunday. Rain, wind, lingering through Monday morning. After that, it looks like that's just about all there is, so we'll miss most of that action. Liz?
All right, Brian, thank you. Well, here's what you missed if you're just getting home right now. A gunman opened fire in downtown Seattle, killing one person and injuring at least 7 others. One witness describes the chaotic scene.
And I heard a couple of pops, and then I heard a series of pops, probably about a dozen. And then I looked up the street in panic. Everybody was running and hiding.
The shooting happened just before 5 o'clock tonight near a Macy's and a McDonald's. 7 patients were taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. We do know one of the victims is just 9 years old. Right now, police are still looking for the shooter. Opening arguments are underway right now in President Trump's impeachment trial. House managers began laying out their case for why they believe the president's conduct with Ukraine warrants removal from office.
President Trump withheld hundreds of millions of dollars in military aid to a strategic partner at war with Russia to secure foreign help with his reelection. In other words, to cheat.
The president's legal team also previewed its turn at the podium. His lawyers say they have not filed a motion to dismiss the impeachment trial because they are confident they will win acquittal.
Notice what's not in the articles of impeachment. Allegations or accusations of quid pro quos. That's because they didn't exist. So, there's a lot of things we'll rebut.
The Trump administration could expand its travel ban to 7 more European, Asian, and African nations. 2 Homeland Security officials tell the Associated Press those countries can avoid the list if they make certain changes. No word yet on what those changes are. Meantime, pregnant women traveling to the U.S. could face new visa restrictions to cut down on so-called birth tourism. The State Department is expected to outline the rules tomorrow. The UN wants an immediate investigation into reports that Amazon founder Jeff Bezos had his personal cell phone hacked by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. Bezos' security consultant says the kingdom wanted to harm the tech mogul and Washington Post owner for the paper's coverage of the killing of Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi. U.S. officials believe the Crown Prince ordered Khashoggi's murder. He denies that, and the hacking claims as well. Ken?
All right, Liz, thank you. Some not-so-sweet emotion for Aerosmith heading into Grammy weekend. Why the group's longtime drummer is now suing the rest of the band. And tomorrow night at 7, these Bay Area kids would one day grow up to be Grammy-nominated artists. They all belong to a legendary band that has been through hell and back.
We were just inside of a nightmare at that point in time.
It's definitely been quite a journey, full of, yes, extreme highs and extreme lows.
Death Angel's journey from the joy of music to a horrible tragedy and their amazing perseverance. That's tomorrow night on the new 7 p.m. News.
Just days before the Grammy Awards are set to air on CBS, the recently suspended CEO of the Recording Academy is making some explosive claims. In a 46-page discrimination complaint, Deborah Dugan says she's being retaliated against for reporting misconduct, including what she calls corrupt voting practices and a rape allegation. She alleges she was sexually harassed by Academy General Counsel Joel Katz, and he has denied those claims.
Also tonight, Aerosmith's drummer is suing his bandmates for not letting him join them on the stage at the Grammys. So we'll get you caught up here. Joey Kramer has been absent from the band for about 6 months following an injury. The Boston-based group says there's simply not enough time to get him back up to speed before Sunday, so they're going with a sub for the Grammys, where Aerosmith is set to receive a special award.
A few days after the Niners punched their ticket to Miami, so did one lucky fan.
Hello? Samuel? Yeah. Holy Patrick.
The big Super Bowl surprise when we come back.
Well, a small East Bay city just scored big on a list of the best places to live in America. Piedmont ranked number 5 on 24/7 Wall Street's list of the 50 best cities. Nearby Orinda placed 28th. Burlingame, Palo Alto, and San Francisco also made that list as well. One San Francisco 49ers fan learned today that he has to cancel his Super Bowl party.
Yeah, he's not too upset about it, though, because he's getting to go to the game.
Hello? Samuel? Yeah. Holy Patrick. Samuel. Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm sorry.
Well, former Niner linebacker Patrick Willis showed up at Samuel Choi's door this morning, 2 tickets in hand. Choi won the all-expenses-paid trip through his Barclays NFL Extra Points credit card. He says the only tip-off he got was a call after Sunday's game telling him to expect a delivery today.
I thought it was going to be like a gift card or like, you know, like a jersey or something, but shoot, this is a dream come true right here. Wow. Thank you, man.
We're just curious, are you making the trip to Miami for the Super Bowl? Well, let us know. Tag us in your social media posts wearing your 49er finest. We'd love to put you on.
Well, thank you for watching. The news continues streaming on CBSN Bay Area.
And we'll see you back here at 11 o'clock with more news.